The War Council chamber on Kryn Prime was silent, except for the soft hum of holographic displays. High Commander Zelthor stood at the center of the circular room, his massive reptilian form casting long shadows across the polished floor. His scales gleamed under the dim lights, each one a testament to centuries of Valdrin dominance across the galaxy. Around him, lesser commanders sat in their designated seats reviewing tribute reports from the conquered worlds. Zelthor felt satisfaction as he watched the numbers scroll past. 3,000 years of military supremacy had made the Valdrin Empire the most feared force in known space. Dozens of species bowed before them, paying tribute in resources, technology, and labor. No one dared challenge the Valdrin. No one could. The alarm shattered the peaceful moment. A sharp, urgent tone filled the chamber. Every commander straightened in their seats. Zelthor's eyes narrowed as he turned toward the sensor officer stationed at the far wall. "Report," Zelthor commanded, his voice deep and threatening. The sensor officer's claws trembled slightly as he worked his console. "High Commander, we have detected an unauthorized vessel. It appeared without warning in Sector 7 near the home system perimeter." "What kind of vessel?" Zelthor demanded. "Unknown, sir. The energy signature matches nothing in our database. The ship design is completely foreign." Zelthor's tail swished with irritation. "Have you sent the standard warning?" "Yes, High Commander. Multiple hailing frequencies. No response. This was unusual. Every species in this region knew the Valdrin protocols. Every ship knew to identify itself immediately or face destruction." Zelthor moved closer to the holographic display that now showed the mysterious vessel. It was small compared to Valdrin warships, with a sleek design that seemed almost primitive. "Bring the regional fleet to combat readiness," Zelthor ordered. "I want that ship surrounded and captured. We will learn who dares enter our space without permission." Far across the void, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the command chair of the UES Defiant, studying the navigation charts with a frown. His brown hair was slightly disheveled from running his hands through it, a habit he developed when stressed. The bridge around him hummed with quiet activity as his crew worked their stations. "Lisa, tell me this is some kind of mistake," Jake said to his first officer. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Hayes stood beside him, her dark eyes fixed on the same charts. She was a calm presence, someone Jake had relied on throughout their 8-month exploration mission. "I wish I could, Captain. But the readings are clear. We're not where we're supposed to be." Navigation Officer Ryan Palmer turned in his seat, his young face pale. "Captain, I've run the calculations 3 times. The experimental jump drive malfunctioned. We're approximately 12,000 light-years off course." Jake felt his stomach tighten. 12,000 light-years. They were further from Earth than any human vessel had ever traveled. The mission was supposed to push boundaries to explore new territories, but this was beyond anything they had planned. "Amy, run a full sensor sweep," Jake ordered. "I want to know where we are and what's around us." Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez worked her console with practiced efficiency. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls. After a moment, her expression changed. "Captain, I'm picking up multiple contacts." "They're big, sir." "Really big? How many?" Jake asked. 32 distinct signatures and more appearing every minute. "They're moving into formation around us." Jake stood from his chair. "Battle stations. Shields up. Lisa, get me a tactical analysis." The bridge lights shifted to red as the alert klaxon sounded throughout the ship. Crew members rushed to their positions. Jake felt his heart rate increase but kept his voice steady. Leadership meant staying calm when everyone else was afraid. "Captain, I'm getting a transmission," Amy reported. "It's not in any language our computers recognize, but I'm running it through the translation algorithms now." The main view screen flickered to life. A massive reptilian face appeared, with cold eyes that seemed to look through Jake rather than at him. The creature's scales were dark green and its mouth was filled with sharp teeth. When it spoke, the voice was deep and resonant. The computer translation appeared as text at the bottom of the screen. "Unknown vessel, you have violated Valdrin space. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in immediate destruction." Jake glanced at Lisa, who shook her head slightly. They both knew what being boarded meant. At best, imprisonment. At worst, dissection and study. Jake had read enough history to know what happened when technologically advanced civilizations encountered isolated travelers. "Amy, open a channel," Jake said. "All frequencies." "Channel open, sir." Jake took a breath. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth ship Defiant. We are on a peaceful exploration mission. Our navigation systems malfunctioned and we arrived in your space by accident. We mean no harm and request permission to repair our ship and depart. The response came quickly. The reptilian commander's face showed what might have been amusement or contempt. Your intentions are irrelevant. You will comply or be destroyed. You have 30 seconds. The screen went dark. Opinions? Jake asked his senior staff. Chief Engineer Danny Hughes' voice came through the intercom.
Captain, if they board us,
They'll have access to all our technology. Everything. Jump drives, weapon systems, navigation data showing the location of Earth. We can't let that happen. Science Officer Nicole Grant appeared on a side screen. Sir, I've been analyzing their ships. Their technology is advanced but in different ways than ours. Their energy weapons are powerful, but their defensive systems seem focused on deflecting similar energy attacks. What are you saying? Jake asked. I'm saying we might have advantages they don't expect. Our kinetic weapons, our maneuvering capabilities, our shield harmonics. They're all based on different principles. Jake made his decision. Ryan, plot a course to the edge of the system. Maximum speed. Danny, I need everything you can give me from the engines. Greg, stand by on weapons but do not fire unless I give the order. Lisa, coordinate damage control teams. Weapons Officer Greg Turner looked up from his station. Captain, they're locking weapons on us. Execute, Jake commanded. The Defiant surged forward, its engines burning bright. On the view screen, Jake could see the alien fleet moving to intercept. A brilliant flash of light shot toward them from the nearest enemy ship. Incoming fire, Greg shouted. Brace for impact. The plasma torpedo struck the Defiant's shields. The ship shuddered and several consoles sparked. But when the light faded, the ship was still intact. The crew looked around in surprise. Damage report, Jake demanded. Shields at 87%, Greg reported, his voice filled with disbelief. Hull integrity at 98%. Minor damage to secondary systems. On Kryn Prime, High Commander Zelthor stared at his displays in shock. The weapon that had just fired should have crippled the alien vessel. It should have torn through their shields and left them helpless. Instead, the strange ship had barely slowed down. What kind of shielding do they have? Zelthor demanded. Unknown, High Commander. Our sensors cannot penetrate their defensive systems. Zelthor felt something he had not experienced in decades. Not fear exactly, but uncertainty. This small vessel should have been easy prey. Instead, it was fleeing through his fleet, dodging weapons fire with an agility that none of his ships could match. All ships pursue and destroy, Zelthor ordered. I want every weapon focused on that vessel. I want it stopped. The Defiant weaved through the asteroid field at the edge of the system. Jake gripped his chair as the ship rolled and turned, barely avoiding collisions with massive rocks. Behind them, the Valdrin fleet struggled to follow. Several of their larger ships clipped asteroids, sending debris spinning through space. They're having trouble keeping up, Lisa observed. Our size is an advantage here, Ryan said from navigation. Their ships are 3 times larger. They can't make these turns. Keep us moving, Jake ordered. Amy, did that message get through to Earth? Yes, sir. Compressed data burst sent via quantum relay. They'll know what happened to us. Good. Now we just need to survive long enough for it to matter. Medical Officer Dr. Helen Ross's voice came through the intercom. Captain Sickbay is ready for casualties. Let's hope we don't need it. Agreed, Doctor, Jake replied. As the Defiant emerged from the asteroid field, Jake looked at the pursuing fleet on his tactical display. Dozens of massive warships, all focused on destroying his ship. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and 12,000 light-years from home. But they were alive. And as long as they were alive, they could fight. Set course for the outer system, Jake commanded. Best possible speed. We're going to make them work for this. The Defiant shot into the darkness of space, trailing fire from its engines. Behind it, the Valdrin fleet followed in rage. Neither side knew it yet, but this chase would change the galaxy forever. The age of unchallenged Valdrin dominance had just ended. They simply did not High Commander Zelthor stood before the Valdrin Council, his posture rigid with barely contained fury. The council chamber was vast, with towering pillars that reached into shadows above. 12 elder Valdrin sat in elevated seats, looking down at him with expressions that mixed concern and disapproval. Explain to us, High Commander, how a single vessel continues to evade our entire regional fleet, Council Elder Morthen said, his ancient voice echoing through the chamber. Zelthor's claws flexed. For 3 days, the human ship had led his forces on a chase through their territory. 3 days of humiliation. 3 days of watching his crews fail to capture or destroy a vessel that should have been an easy target. The alien ship possesses unusual capabilities, Zelthor responded. Their defensive systems are unlike anything we have encountered. Their maneuvering is superior to our vessels. These are excuses, another council member said sharply. The Valdren do not make excuses. We achieve results. Give me more time, Zelthor said. I will destroy them. Time is what we do not have, Elder Morthen replied. Reports are coming in from the outer territories. The subjugated species are watching this chase with great interest. Some are becoming bold. There have been 3 incidents of rebellion in the past 2 days. Zelthor felt a cold sensation in his chest. The Empire's control depended on absolute fear. If the conquered species saw weakness, if they believed the Valdren could be challenged, everything could unravel. I will mobilize additional forces, Zelthor said. You already command 60 warships, Elder Morthen said. How many more do you need to catch one small vessel? The question hung in the air like an insult. Zelthor bowed his head slightly. I will not fail the Empire. See that you do not, Elder Morthen replied. This council is watching closely, High Commander. Very closely. Aboard the Defiant, exhaustion had settled over the crew like a heavy blanket. Captain Jake Morrison had not slept in 40 hours. His eyes burned and his body ached, but he could not rest. Not while his ship and crew remained in danger. Chief Engineer Danny Hughes appeared on the bridge, his uniform stained with grease and coolant. He looked as tired as Jake felt. Danny was a big man with strong hands and a creative mind. He had kept the ship running despite damage from multiple skirmishes. Captain, we need to talk about our situation, Danny said quietly. Jake nodded and gestured to his ready room. Lisa Hayes joined them, along with Science Officer Nicole Grant and Tactical Officer Kevin Drake. The 5 senior officers crowded into the small space. Give me the bad news, Jake said. Danny pulled up a display on the wall screen. We're running out of everything. Fuel cells are at 40%. We've used most of our missile reserves. The shield generators are overheating every 6 hours, and I'm patching systems with whatever I can find. How long can we keep running? Jake asked. Maybe another week if we're lucky. But every jump we make, every fight we're in, that time gets shorter. Nicole spoke up. I've been analyzing the Valdren ships. Their technology is impressive but rigid. They seem to follow very specific tactical patterns. They expect enemies to fight in predictable ways. What are you suggesting? Lisa asked. I'm saying we need to stop running and start fighting, but not the way they expect, Nicole replied. We need to hit them where they're vulnerable. Kevin Drake, the tactical officer, leaned forward. He was a veteran with gray in his hair and scars on his hands. There's a supply depot on the 4th moon of the 2nd planet in this system. I've been monitoring their communications. It's lightly guarded because it's deep in their territory. No one would dare attack it. Until now, Jake said softly. It's risky, Lisa cautioned. If we fail, we'll be trapped. Jake looked at each of them. Danny, can you keep the ship together for one more operation? If it means we get supplies to keep us running longer. I'll make it work, Danny replied. Nicole, I need detailed scans of that depot. Everything. Guard rotations, sensor capabilities, structural weaknesses. Already working on it. Captain, Nicole said with a small smile. Kevin, start planning the assault. I want a small team, fast in and fast out. Yes, sir, Kevin replied. Jake turned to Lisa. I need you to prepare the crew. This is going to be dangerous. They're ready, Jake, Lisa said. They trust you. That night, the Defiant drifted silently through space with all non-essential systems powered down. They waited in the shadow of a gas giant, hidden from Valdren sensors. Inside the ship, Marines checked their weapons and equipment. Medical teams prepared emergency supplies. Everyone knew what was at stake. Captain Sam Torres led the strike team. He was a lean man with quick eyes and a reputation for completing impossible missions. Beside him, Lieutenant Beth Cooper checked her gear one final time. Beth was small but fierce, a combat engineer who could break into any system. Remember, we're not here to fight, Sam told his team. We get in, gather intelligence, sabotage their fuel reserves, and get out. Silent and fast, the Marines nodded. They had trained for situations like this, though none had ever expected to use those skills against an alien empire. The Defiant launched a stealth shuttle. The small craft was designed for reconnaissance, coated in materials that absorbed sensor sweeps. It drifted toward the moon like a piece of debris, taking 3 hours to reach the surface. On the bridge, Jake watched through the shuttle's cameras. His hands gripped the armrests of his command chair. He was sending people into danger, and the weight of that decision pressed on him. "Shuttle has landed," Amy Rodriguez reported. "They're proceeding to the depot." The Valdrin Supply Depot was a massive facility built into the moon's rocky surface. Huge storage tanks held fuel. Warehouses contained weapons and supplies. Only 12 guards patrolled the perimeter. Why would they need more? No one attacked Valdrin installations. Sam Torres led his team through the darkness. They moved like shadows, using the moon's rough terrain for cover. Beth Cooper worked on the security door while the others covered her position. "These locks are sophisticated," Beth whispered. "But they're designed to keep out their technology, not ours." 3 minutes later, the door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the depot was eerily quiet. Automated systems moved supplies along conveyor belts. Computer terminals glowed in the darkness. The Marines spread out, downloading data from every system they could access. "Captain, you need to see this," Nicole Grant said on the bridge. She was monitoring the data as it came in. "The Valdrin Empire is much less stable than it appears. Look at these reports." Jake read the translated documents. "Rebellion on 6 worlds. Supply problems. Internal conflicts between different Valdrin factions. The Empire projected strength, but beneath the surface, cracks were forming. They maintain control through fear," Nicole continued. "If that fear breaks, everything falls apart." In the depot, Sam Torres placed charges on the main fuel tanks. They were small, designed to start fires rather than cause explosions. The goal was sabotage, not mass destruction. "Charges set," Sam reported. "We're moving to the secondary objective." But as they entered the main warehouse, alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flooded the facility. "We've been detected," Beth shouted. "Fall back," Sam ordered. "Everyone to the shuttle." The Marines ran through the corridors as Valdrin guards converged on their position. Weapons fire lit up the darkness. One Marine fell with a wounded leg. 2 others grabbed him and kept moving. On the bridge, Jake watched in horror. "They're compromised. Amy, tell them the shuttle is powering up." The strike team burst out of the depot with Valdrin guards close behind. Energy weapons scorched the ground around them. The shuttle lifted off just as they reached it, hovering low enough for them to jump inside. "Go, go, go!" Sam shouted. The shuttle rocketed upward, taking hits on its shields. The depot erupted below them as the charges detonated. Flames shot into the thin atmosphere. "Shuttle is clear," Amy reported. "They're coming home." But the victory was short-lived. On the Valdrin command ship, alarms sounded. "High Commander, the depot on Moon 4 has been attacked," an officer reported. Zelthor's eyes widened. "What, by whom?" "The alien vessel, sir. They sent a strike team." For a moment, Zelthor could not speak. The audacity of it stunned him. These aliens had not just run from his fleet. They had struck back at a Valdrin installation. They had violated Valdrin territory, destroyed Valdrin property, and escaped. "Find them," Zelthor said, his voice deadly quiet. "Use every resource. I want that ship found and destroyed." But across the Empire, the news spread quickly. The conquered species heard whispers through underground networks. A small vessel had attacked the Valdrin and succeeded. The Overlords were not invincible. On 3 worlds, rebellions grew bolder. On 5 more, resistance groups began planning actions they had only dreamed of before. The Valdrin Empire had ruled through fear for 3,000 years. But fear, once broken, is difficult to restore. And the humans aboard the Defiant had just shown the galaxy that the Valdrin could bleed. The data stolen from the Valdrin depot filled the screens in the Defiant's science lab. Nicole Grant had not left her station in 12 hours. Her eyes scanned through translated documents, tactical reports, and intelligence assessments. What she found both frightened and fascinated her. "Captain, you need to see this," Nicole said when Jake entered the lab. Jake looked tired. They all did. The constant running, the brief battles, the stress of being hunted wore on everyone, but he stood straight and focused as Nicole showed him her findings. The Valdrin Empire controls 42 separate species across 200 systems, Nicole explained. But their control is fragile. Look at these rebellion reports. The Krell system is experiencing riots. The Thane colonies have formed underground resistance cells. The Morphid worlds are refusing to pay tribute. "How have we not heard about this?" Jake asked. Because the Valdrins suppress all information ruthlessly. They control communication between systems. They punish any hint of rebellion with overwhelming force. But it's like trying to hold water in your fists. The pressure keeps building. Jake studied the maps showing rebel activity. And our presence here? We're becoming a symbol, Nicole said quietly. News of our escape. Our attack on their depot, it's spreading despite their efforts to contain it. The subjugated species see us as proof that the Valdrin can be fought. We didn't come here to start a revolution, Jake said. No, but we're in one now whether we want to be or not, Nicole replied. In his private quarters, Jake sat alone in the darkness. The weight of command had never felt heavier. He had brought his crew on an exploration mission. Now they were trapped in an interstellar conflict that could reshape this region of space. People were rebelling because they believed the Defiant represented hope. But what happened when the Defiant was destroyed? What happened to all those people who dared to resist? A chime at his door interrupted his thoughts. Lisa Hayes entered without waiting for permission. She knew him well enough to recognize when he needed company, even if he would not ask for it. You're thinking too much again, Lisa said, sitting across from him. Someone has to, Jake replied. We didn't start this, Jake. The Valdrin created this situation through centuries of oppression. We're just the spark that exposed how dry the kindling already was. And when the fire burns out, when we're gone? Lisa leaned forward. Then we make sure the fire keeps burning long after we're gone. We give these people the tools and the hope they need to free themselves. Jake looked at her. You think we can win this? I think we can survive it. And sometimes that's enough. On Kryn Prime, Sub-Commander Vrax stood before High Commander Zelthor's desk. The office was sparse and cold, reflecting the Valdrin military philosophy of discipline over comfort. Vrax had served under Zelthor for 20 years, but today he came not as a subordinate, but as a messenger from concerned officers. Speak, Zelthor commanded without looking up from his tactical displays. High Commander, there is growing concern among the fleet commanders about our current strategy, Vrax said carefully. Concern? Zelthor's head snapped up. Explain. We have mobilized 70 warships to pursue a single vessel. This has left other regions vulnerable. The Krell Rebellion has destroyed 3 of our outposts. The Thane colonies have stopped all tribute shipments. We are spreading our forces too thin. Are you suggesting we abandon the pursuit? Zelthor asked, his voice dangerous. I am suggesting we negotiate, Vrax replied. The aliens clearly have advanced technology. If we could establish communication, perhaps reach an understanding, negotiate. Zelthor stood, his full height towering over Vrax. The Valdrin do not negotiate with inferiors. We dominate or we destroy. With respect, High Commander, our attempts at domination have failed. The alien vessel remains free. Meanwhile, our empire fractures. Perhaps it is time to consider alternative approaches. Zelthor's claws extended. You speak dangerously close to treason, Sub-Commander. Vrax held his ground. I speak for the survival of the Empire. The two Valdrins stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, Zelthor turned away. Leave me. Continue the hunt. That is my final order on this matter. Vrax left, but his concerns remained. In the corridors, other officers shared his doubts. The unthinkable was becoming thinkable. High Commander Zelthor might be wrong. The Defiant moved through a nebula using the dense gas clouds to hide from sensors. Engineering teams worked around the clock repairing systems. Danny Hughes moved from one damaged section to another. His expertise stretched to its limits. How's it looking? Jake asked, finding Danny in one of the damaged corridors. Danny wiped sweat from his forehead. Like a patchwork quilt held together with hope and spare parts. The starboard shield generator is held together with metal plating from the crew quarters. I've rerouted power so many times our electrical systems look like spaghetti. But she'll hold together, for now. That's all I can ask, Jake said. Actually, Captain, there's something else, Danny said. That Valdrin cruiser we disabled. I've been studying their technology. Their jump drives are more efficient than ours in some ways. If I could integrate some of their systems with ours, we might be able to get home. How long would that take? Weeks, maybe months. And that's assuming I can make it work at all. Jake clapped Danny on the shoulder. Keep at it. Getting home is still the mission. In the ship's small gym, Marine Captain Sam Torres trained with his team. They ran drills, practiced hand-to-hand combat, and maintained their readiness. The raid on the depot had been successful, but barely. They needed to be better, faster, stronger. Lieutenant Beth Cooper sparred with another Marine, her movements quick and precise. Sam watched approvingly. Beth was half the size of some of the others, but twice as determined. Good work on that depot raid, Sam told her afterward. We got lucky, Beth replied. Next time might be different. Then we'll be ready for next time. The ship's intercom crackled to life. All senior staff to the bridge. We have incoming contacts. Jake reached the bridge at a run. The view screen showed multiple ships approaching their position. But these vessels were not Valdrin. They were smaller, older, their designs varied and patchwork. Captain, I'm receiving a transmission, Amy Rodriguez reported. Audio only. Put it through, Jake ordered. A voice spoke in halting, computer-translated English. Human vessel Defiant. We are representatives of the Free Krell Alliance. We come in peace. We wish to speak. Jake glanced at Lisa, who shrugged slightly. This was unexpected. This is Captain Morrison. We're listening. We know you did not come here to fight the Valdrin. We know you wish to go home. But your presence has given us something precious. Hope. We ask for your help. Jake felt his chest tighten. We're just trying to survive. We can't win a war against the Valdrin Empire. We do not ask you to win the war, the voice replied. We ask you to teach us how to fight it. Your tactics, your technology, your methods. Share them with us and we will help you escape. Captain, I'm detecting Valdrin ships entering the nebula, Tactical Officer Kevin Drake reported. Multiple signatures. They've found us. The Free Krell ships are moving to intercept, Lisa said. On the view screen, the ragtag fleet of rebel ships positioned themselves between the Defiant and the approaching Valdrin forces. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they did not retreat. They're sacrificing themselves to give us time, Nicole said softly. Jake made his decision in an instant. Battle stations. Amy, send a message to the Krell ships. Tell them to follow our lead. Kevin, I need a tactical plan that uses their numbers against the Valdrin's firepower. Nicole, feed them our sensor data. Danny, divert all available power to weapons and shields. Captain, are you sure about this? Lisa asked quietly. No, Jake admitted. But I'm not going to let those people die alone while we run. The Valdrin fleet emerged from the nebula's edge like sharks sensing blood. 15 heavy cruisers against the Defiant and a dozen rebel ships. It should have been a massacre. Jake stood in the center of the bridge, his voice calm and clear. All ships, this is Captain Morrison. Stay tight. Use the nebula's interference to mask your movements. Don't engage unless you have a clear advantage. We're not trying to destroy them. We're trying to survive. The battle began with the Valdrin firing in coordinated volleys, but the human and rebel ships scattered, using tactics the Valdrin had never encountered. They appeared from gas clouds, fired, and vanished again. They attacked damaged ships rather than spreading fire evenly. They supported each other, covering retreats and sharing targeting data. For the first time, the Valdrin faced an enemy that refused to fight by their rules. Greg Turner worked his weapons station with focused intensity. Firing missiles at Target 3. Target is hit. Their shields are down. Krell ship Defiance is moving in to finish them, Lisa reported. One Valdrin cruiser exploded. Then another took critical damage and began to retreat. The tide of the battle shifted. On the Valdrin command ship, the officer in charge watched in disbelief as his superior force struggled against inferior vessels. How was this possible? They had every advantage except one. The enemy was not afraid. All ships fall back, the Valdrin commander finally ordered. Regroup at the rendezvous point. The Valdrin fleet withdrew. The human and rebel ships held their position, damaged but victorious. The conference room aboard the Defiant felt crowded. Representatives from 3 different alien species sat around the table with the human officers. The Krell resembled large insects with multiple limbs and compound eyes. The Thane were small, furred creatures with quick movements and quicker minds. The Morphids appeared almost human, but with skin that shifted colors based on their emotions. Jake sat at the head of the table with Lisa beside him. They had spent the last day learning about their new allies, and what they learned troubled him. A Krell named Vex spoke through a translation device. For 200 years my people have served the Valdrin. They took our worlds, enslaved our workers, and crushed any resistance. But we remember freedom. We have always remembered. The Thane colonies lost our independence 50 years ago, added a Thane named Pip. The Valdrin destroyed our fleets and occupied our worlds, They take half of everything we produce. Our children grow up knowing only servitude. The Morphid representative, whose name translated as Blue Sky Rising, changed from green to deep purple as she spoke. We are newer to this subjugation, but we learn quickly how it feels to be powerless. The Valdrins strip our resources and leave us with nothing. Jake listened to each story. He felt the weight of their hope pressing on him. These people were looking to humanity, to his ship, for salvation. But he had only one damaged vessel and a crew of 200. I need to be honest with you, Jake said. We can't defeat the Valdrin Empire. We don't have the numbers, the firepower, or the resources. But you have something more important, Vex replied. You have shown us that the Valdrin can be beaten. You have given us courage. Courage isn't enough, Lisa said gently. It is a start, Pip said. We do not ask you to fight our war for us. We ask you to teach us how to fight it ourselves. Nicole Grant spoke up from her seat. I've been analyzing Valdrin tactical doctrine. They rely on overwhelming force and predictable patterns. They expect enemies to either submit or fight in conventional ways. But if we train your forces in irregular warfare, hit-and-run tactics, psychological operations, you could make it very costly for them to maintain control. A resistance movement, Jake said. More than that, Nicole replied. A coordinated rebellion across multiple systems. If enough worlds rise up simultaneously, the Valdrin can't suppress them all. Kevin Drake leaned forward. It's risky. The Valdrin will respond with brutal force. Many will die. Many are dying now, Blue Sky Rising said, her skin flashing angry red. At least this way. We die fighting for freedom rather than living in chains. Jake looked at each face around the table. He thought about Earth, about the history of resistance movements and revolutions. He thought about the American Revolution, when farmers and merchants stood against the most powerful empire of their time. He thought about every group of people who decided that freedom was worth the cost. If we do this, Jake said slowly, we do it right. No suicide missions. No pointless sacrifices. We plan carefully, we support each other, and we make the Valdrin pay for every system they try to hold. Agreed, Vex said, and the others echoed the sentiment. On Kryn Prime, the Valdrin Council met in emergency session. The mood was dark. Reports flooded in from across the Empire. Rebellions that had been suppressed for years were exploding into open warfare. Supply lines were disrupted. Outposts were under siege. The military was stretched beyond its capacity. High Commander Zelthor stood before them, his scales dull with stress. The situation worsens by the hour, Council Elder Morthen said. We have lost contact with 4 colonies. 3 governors have requested immediate military support. Our forces are engaged in 16 separate conflicts. Give me more ships, Zelthor demanded. More soldiers. I will crush these rebellions, and with what? Another council member snapped. You have already committed most of our fleet to chasing the alien vessel. The vessel that you still have not captured. The alien ship is the cause of this unrest, Zelthor argued. Destroy it and the rebellions will collapse. Sub-Commander Vrax stepped forward. He had been quiet during the council session, but now he spoke. The rebellions will not collapse, High Commander. We have created them through our own actions. Centuries of oppression have built up resentment. The human vessel merely provided a spark. You dare speak against me in the council? Zelthor turned on him. I speak for the Empire, Vrax replied calmly, and the Empire is dying because we refuse to see the truth. We cannot hold these territories by force alone. Not anymore. The cost is too high. Then what do you suggest? Elder Morthen asked, genuinely curious. Negotiation, Vrax said. Grant autonomy to some systems. Reduce tribute requirements. Show that the Empire can be reasonable, and yes, open communications with the humans. Learn why they fight so effectively, and perhaps find a way to end this conflict without further bloodshed. Zelthor's claws extended. You speak treason. I speak survival, Vrax countered. The council chamber erupted in argument. Some members supported Zelthor's hard line. Others found Vrax's suggestions worthy of consideration. The unity that had sustained the Valdrin Empire for millennia was fracturing. Aboard the Defiant, Danny Hughes made a discovery. He worked in the engineering bay with parts from both human and Valdrin technology, spread across multiple workbenches. For weeks he had been trying to integrate the systems, searching for a way to boost their jump drive capacity. Captain, I think I've got it, Danny said through the intercom. Jake arrived within minutes. Talk to me. Danny pointed at a modified drive assembly. The Valdrin jump drives use a different frequency than ours. But if I can synchronize them, if I can create a harmonic resonance between our drive and theirs, we could potentially increase our jump range by 300%. Enough to get home? Jake asked. Maybe. Probably. It's theoretical, but the math works. The problem is I need about 3 weeks of uninterrupted work to install and calibrate the system. And we need to be somewhere safe while I do it. 3 weeks, Jake repeated. That's a long time to stay hidden. It's also our ticket home, Danny replied. Jake made his decision. He called a meeting of all senior staff and the alien representatives. We have an opportunity, Jake explained. Our engineer has found a way to possibly get us home. But it requires time. Time will be vulnerable. I'm proposing we use that time to train your forces, to prepare for a coordinated uprising. When we leave, you'll be ready to fight without us. How long? Vex asked. 3 weeks. The alien representatives consulted among themselves in their various languages. Finally, Blue Sky Rising spoke. We can provide a hidden location, an asteroid facility in the Morphid system. It is far from Valdrin patrol routes. You can work there safely, and we will send our best people to train with you, Pip added. Our fighters, our tacticians, our leaders. We will learn everything you can teach us. Over the following 3 weeks, the Defiant became a school of warfare. Human Marines taught alien soldiers about guerrilla tactics, ambush techniques, and urban combat. Kevin Drake held classes on strategic planning and resource management. Nicole Grant shared everything she had learned about Valdrin weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Sam Torres worked directly with Krell fighters, teaching them how to use terrain and surprise to overcome superior firepower. The Valdrin expect enemies to meet them head-on, Sam explained to a group of eager students. So don't. Hit them from behind, from the sides, from above. Be where they don't expect you to be. Beth Cooper taught engineering sabotage to a group of Thane technicians. Small acts of resistance can have big impacts, she said. A damaged power relay here, a corrupted data system there. Make them work for every advantage they think they have. In the medical bay, Dr. Helen Ross trained alien medics in emergency trauma care. You'll have wounded. Many wounded. You need to know how to keep them alive long enough to get proper treatment. Each night, Jake met with the alien leaders to coordinate plans. They identified key targets across multiple systems. They established communication protocols. They created a timeline for the uprising. When you leave, we begin, Vex said. A simultaneous strike across 12 systems. The Valdrin will not be able to respond to all of us at once. You're sure about this? Jake asked. Once you start, there's no going back. We are sure, Blue Sky Rising said, her skin a determined orange. We have lived in fear for too long. Better to risk everything for freedom than accept slavery forever. On the 20th day, High Commander Zelthor received intelligence about the asteroid facility. His spies had finally located the human vessel. Mobilize the fleet, Zelthor ordered. Every available ship. We move immediately. High Commander, the Council has ordered restraint, an officer cautioned. The Council is weak, Zelthor snarled. I will save this empire whether they have the courage to do so or not. Prepare for full assault. I want that facility destroyed and every being inside it dead. The Valdrin fleet assembled. 80 warships prepared for battle. It would be the largest military operation in decades. And when it was over, Zelthor promised himself, the human threat would be eliminated forever. The alarm woke Jake from the first real sleep he had gotten in days. He was moving before his mind fully registered what was happening. On the bridge, his crew was already at their stations. Report, Jake demanded. Valdrin fleet inbound, Lisa Hayes said, her voice tight. 80+ signatures. They'll be here in 40 minutes. Jake felt his stomach drop. 80 ships. It was more than they had ever faced before. More than they could possibly survive against. Status of the drive modifications? Jake asked. Danny Hughes appeared on screen from engineering. 70% complete. I need at least 3 more days. We don't have 3 more days. How much of it is functional now? Danny hesitated. Maybe 60% of the improved capacity. Enough to make a long jump, but I can't guarantee where we'll end up or if the system will survive the strain. Better than staying here to die, Jake said. He turned to Amy. Contact all Allied vessels. Tell them to scatter. They need to get out of here now. What about the uprising? Lisa asked. It starts today instead of next week, Jake replied. Tell our allies to begin operations immediately. The Valdrin fleet can't chase us and suppress rebellions across 12 systems simultaneously. Kevin Drake worked his tactical station. Captain, the Allied fleet is requesting permission to stay and fight. Absolutely not, Jake said. Their job is to survive and fight the real war. Tell them that's an order. But even as the Allied ships began to disperse, many remained behind. Vex's voice came through the speakers. Captain Morrison, we owe you our courage. We will not abandon you in your time of need. Vex, you need to go, Jake argued. Your people need you. And you need us now, Vex replied. The Free Krell Alliance stands with humanity today. Similar messages came from the Thane and Morphid forces. Despite Jake's protests, 23 Allied ships remained in formation around the Defiant. They're loyal, Lisa said quietly. We taught them that. Jake felt emotion tighten his throat. Then we'd better make sure we all survive this. Kevin, I need tactics that maximize our advantages. We're faster and more maneuverable. Use it. Already working on it, sir, Kevin replied. As the Valdrin fleet approached, High Commander Zelthor felt certain of victory. 80 warships against one human vessel and a handful of rebel craft. It would be over quickly. All ships maintain formation, Zelthor commanded. When we reach weapons range, concentrate all fire on the human ship. Destroy it first, then eliminate the others at leisure. But Sub-Commander Vrak stood nearby, watching the tactical displays with growing unease. Something felt wrong. The human ship was not fleeing. It was moving into position, coordinating with the rebel vessels in a defensive formation. High Commander, perhaps we should reconsider our approach, Vrak suggested. Your caution is noted and dismissed, Zelthor replied coldly. The two fleets met at the edge of the asteroid field. The Defiant and its allies had positioned themselves carefully, using the asteroids as cover and obstacles. Here they come, Greg Turner said. Multiple weapons locks detected. All ships, execute pattern Delta 7, Jake commanded. The human and allied vessels suddenly scattered in different directions, moving with practiced coordination. The Valdrin's opening volley hit empty space and asteroids instead of ships. What are they doing? Zelthor demanded. All ships pursue and destroy. But pursuing through an asteroid field proved difficult for the massive Valdrin warships. Their size, usually an advantage, now became a liability. They had to move slowly and carefully to avoid collisions. The Defiant and the smaller allied ships had no such limitations. They wove between asteroids at high speed, appearing suddenly to fire on Valdrin vessels before disappearing again. Target hit, Greg reported. Valdrin cruiser losing power. Krell ship reports successful missile strike on Target 7, Amy added. The battle became chaos. The Valdrin could not bring their superior numbers to bear effectively. Every time they formed up to make a coordinated attack, the human and allied forces scattered again, attacking from new angles. Jake stood in the center of his bridge, calling out orders with calm precision. Concentrate fire on damaged vessels. Don't spread our attacks. Take them down one at a time. In the engineering section, Danny worked frantically on the drive system. Explosions rocked the ship as Valdrin weapons found their mark. Sparks flew from damaged conduits, but Danny kept working, his hands steady despite the danger. Drive at 75%, Danny reported. 80%. I'm pushing it as fast as I can, Captain. How long until we can jump? Jake asked. 10 minutes, maybe 15. And that's if nothing else breaks. On the Valdrin command ship, Zelthor watched his perfect victory turn into a costly stalemate. He had lost 11 ships with 6 more severely damaged. The human vessel remained operational, dancing through his fleet like a ghost. All ships converge on coordinates 37 Alpha, Zelthor commanded. Box them in. Cut off their escape routes. But as the Valdrin fleet moved to encircle the human position, alarms sounded throughout their command structure. High Commander, we're receiving multiple reports, an officer said urgently. The Krell home system is under attack by rebel forces. The Thane colonies have seized control of their orbital stations. The Morphid worlds have declared independence. Zelthor felt his world tilting. What, all at once? Yes, sir. It appears to be coordinated. Rebellion across 12 systems simultaneously. Sub-Commander Vrak spoke up. High Commander, we must withdraw forces to deal with these uprisings. If we lose control of those systems, we lose control of nothing. Zelthor roared. The human ship is here. Once we destroy it, the rebellions will collapse. With respect, the rebellions are already happening, Vrak said. The human ship is no longer the primary threat. Zelthor turned on him with pure fury. You undermine my authority at every turn. I should have you executed for treason. Then execute me, Vrak said calmly. But that will not change reality. We cannot win this battle and maintain the Empire. We must choose. In that moment, with explosions lighting up space around them, and reports of rebellions flooding in from every direction, High Commander Zelthor finally understood. He had already lost. Not this battle specifically, but the war. The empire he had served his entire life was crumbling, and his pursuit of the human vessel had accelerated its fall. All ships, Zelthor said slowly, his voice heavy with defeat. Cease fire. Begin withdrawal to core systems. Aboard the Defiant, the sudden cessation of Valdran attacks caught everyone by surprise. They're pulling back, Lisa said with disbelief. All of them. Drive is at 90%, Danny reported. We can jump now if we need to. Jake watched the Valdran fleet turn away. They were not running in panic. They were making an organized withdrawal. Something had changed. Amy, are you getting any communications? Jake asked. Yes, sir. Multiple channels. Uprising reports from across the Empire. Captain, they did it. The rebellion started. Jake felt relief and worry in equal measure. The plan had worked, but now those brave people would face the full fury of the Valdran military. He could only hope they were ready. All Allied vessels, this is Captain Morrison. Fall back to your home systems. Your people need you now. Fight smart. Fight together and never give up. Vex's voice came through one last time. Thank you, Captain. For everything. May we meet again in better times. Count on it, Jake replied. As the Allied ships dispersed to begin their long fight for freedom, Jake turned to his crew. Lisa, get us clear of the asteroid field. Danny, as soon as we're in open space, spin up the jump drive. It's time to go home. The Defiant moved out of the debris, its hull scarred and smoking but still intact. Behind it, the battlefield was littered with debris from destroyed ships, both Valdran and Allied. The cost had been high, but they had survived. Jump drive ready, Danny reported. Kevin, plot a course for Earth. Best speed, Jake ordered. Course plotted and locked in. Sir? Jake settled into his command chair. He thought about the people they were leaving behind, the war that would rage across multiple systems, the uncertain future that awaited both the Valdran Empire and its former subjects. He thought about how one accidental arrival had changed the fate of an entire region of space. All hands prepare for jump, Jake announced. We're going home. The Defiant's modified drive hummed to life, building power. Space around the ship began to ripple and distort. Then in a flash of light, the ship vanished, leaping across the vast distances between stars. 6 months later, the Defiant emerged from its final jump at the edge of Earth's solar system. Alarms immediately sounded as defense stations detected the unknown vessel. But Amy Rodriguez quickly transmitted their identification codes. Within an hour, the Defiant was in orbit around Earth, and Jake stood on the bridge looking down at the blue and white planet below. They had traveled further than any human vessel before them. They had survived impossible odds. They had changed the course of history for dozens of species. Welcome home, Captain, Lisa said softly. Welcome home to all of us, Jake replied. But as he looked at Earth, Jake knew this was not really an ending. It was a beginning. News of the Valdran Empire and the rebellion would spread. Other species would learn of humanity. Some would want to be friends. Others would see Earth as a threat or a target. The galaxy was vast, beautiful, and dangerous. And humanity had just announced its presence in a way that would not be